Though, yeah, again, like I keep saying this, but like, feel free to criticize them. I really, it makes sense. I do think some personalities should be held accountable for how they are handling this situation. It's just that as this is breaking right now, that would not be my prime focus. Does that make sense? As this is still happening, there's still like action that could theoretically be taken to de-escalate. This is the biggest thing that people should be advocating for, is de-escalation. Not the case. There is an escalation occurring. Like, I don't think people really understand how serious this escalation can become. I'm not interested. I'm not interested. I'm not a warmonger. Let's just put it like that. Okay? And I would be very fucking careful. I'd be very careful around not just being okay with Israel retaliating, which it's literally like retaliation. It's like vengeance or whatever, but it's also, they literally want to cripple. A lot of far-right Israelis are literally saying this is like the final solution or whatever. It's almost like a holy thing. In my view, any action to justify or any claim to, you know, legitimize the retaliation, because, yeah, they're literally civilians. And you can say, Hamas did that? Okay, this is a lot larger scale. This is not an even playing field. Anyway, I did not intend to talk about this at all. I actually said at the start of this that I didn't want to get into this. But yeah, I just pulled myself in like a idiot. I feel like it's difficult for other governments to decide what to do. This has been an issue for 70+ years. Well, here's the biggest thing, right? And you see this, by the way, with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia publicly was defending Palestine, but privately they were supporting Israel. And Egypt is supporting Israel. And why is this? When it comes to geopolitics, these aren't like individual people. Okay, yeah, emotions involved. Yeah, bloodline, all this loyalty, all this bullshit. Yeah, it's involved to a degree, but a lesser degree than with individuals. Okay, and the biggest thing is that overt, like resource, or like basically what I'm saying is like realism. Realism is a lens you need to have for these global conflicts. You really do need to have a realist lens. What is the incentive for any country to support Palestine? Which Palestine, again, let's be expressly clear and honest about this situation. Israel does not want any Palestine to exist ever. Again, it works both ways, but one of them is really exerting that wish. Okay, there is no incentive, zero literal incentive. Like I'm saying, resources or like labor, whatever you want to say, for countries to support Palestine. It is purely a PR or like a you know, projection of ethics if they support Palestine, right? That's all it is. Okay. Again, supplies Israel with all of their fucking weapons, the vast majority of them. American defense contractors, the U.S. government, obviously, not just the U.S. government, the Canadian government. France, fucking, we could keep going, bro. There's plenty of countries that have a very vested interest in maintaining solid, entrenched relationships with Israel. Again, this is the example I was bringing up. Saudi Arabia, outwardly, openly, they claim like, Palestine, yeah, you know, our Arab brothers, our fucking Islamic brothers. Privately, they're supporting Israel because they know that there is a lot more fucking genuine incentive to support Israel. This is where people online get confused, because they'll start attacking like an individual creator. I think like Hasan maybe is getting a lot of shit. I don't really care. Like he probably deserves it. He probably deserves it, bro. I don't care. But they'll like completely forget and like miss like, oh wait, whoa, just to be clear, like no, they're actually committing war crimes right now that our governments are not holding them accountable for at all. And again, one more thing to be clear about. The US, Canada, France, they're not happy that Israel's doing this. They're not happy. Israel's going a little bit rogue, but they've been aggressive since the fucking inception, okay? Even in 1968, their war against Egypt, Syria, and I believe Jordan. 6 days war. Israel preemptively attacked those countries. The US, quite expressly, you know, they didn't really give the go-ahead necessarily for that, okay? In fact, I believe it was the Egyptian leader at the time. Might have been another Egyptian official, but they were going to the U.S. when that strike occurred. And the U.S. basically, were kind of like surprised that they did that. That Israel attacked preemptively and won that war, right? There's a lot to the fucking history, okay? We could talk about Ariel Sharon, Prime Minister of Israel in 2001. He was elected Prime Minister. Actual unironic war criminal, literal war criminal, was elected to be the Prime Minister. If we look at the Shatia massacre, the Sabra and Shatia massacres. Jesus Christ. I can't even, like, literally on Wikipedia, this is like an undisputed, real thing that happened, where effectively the Israeli government was aware it was going to happen and were tacitly okay with it, likely encouraging it. The defense minister of Israel at the time was Ariel Sharon. Nowadays, Israel just commits war crimes regularly. It's been that way for decades, but, now you're really seeing it the second they got justification. Oh. But this guy was literally publicly denounced in Israel by Israelis in the fucking 80s for committing war crimes in Lebanon against Palestinians, among other people. Just keep that in mind. Israelis. Look, you see nowadays, pretty much everyone who lives in Israel is like, they want this retaliation to occur. I understand why they would want that, because they want to feel safe. Fair enough, I guess. But obviously they, like, humanitarian-wise, this response is just not humanitarian remotely. And there are a lot of videos coming out of Israeli citizens being like, yeah, fuck it. Just fucking kill them. Like, fuck them. Yeah. Not all Israelis think that, obviously. But decent amount do. In 1982, it wasn't the same level of hysteria. It really wasn't. There was public outcry after those, situations I just talked about in 1982. Shatia and Sabra. There was a public outcry for this Sharon guy to step down as the defense minister, because it was literally like it was pretty known. Like, yeah, this guy, like, war criminal, like, clearly, like he was complicit in that. And he did step down. So this government official, the Minister of Defense for Israel, stepped down due to public outcry against what they did to Palestinians, among other people. And then less than 20 years later, this war criminal, I mean, of course, he stayed within the cabinet of Israel. He still, of course, was involved in politics, because this is the way shit flies. Kind of is here, too. But he was fucking democratically, apparently, elected the Prime Minister of Israel in, less than 20 years later, 2001. And this is the same guy who went to the holy site of Muslims that he knew was a, what would you say, a shock point or whatever, like a really, like a point of much contention. He went to the fucking altar, with a bunch of guards, and that caused the second Intifada. Okay? So he kind of took steps to poke and kind of, I mean, egg on retaliation. And yeah, that guy being literally the leader of Israel, I think it speaks to the intent and the level of blatant oversight that the current Israeli regime could have for the humanitarian nature of what is occurring. Okay? What you need to also keep in mind is that Israel, through their division called Hasbara, right? Hasbara agents, this is a real thing. They are a division of Israel's government, similar to the Chinese, their 50-cent army. Okay, again, I only draw parallels to my experience in Hong Kong because it literally colors my lens. It helps me understand the situation a little bit better because I have, again, literally witnessed unrest, civil unrest in real life. It's a little bit different when you realize in real life that retaliation sometimes is extremely necessary, because sometimes the governments that you're opposing have zero intention of compromising, zero, and they need to be made to compromise. Now, what I am specifically citing with this 50-cent army is that you need to be fucking aware. In China, the government hires people to post positively about the Chinese government, or to go to critics of the Chinese government and to post, very detailed responses. In Israel, they have an identical, effectively, department called Hezbollah. And what do? They literally go and run defense for the Israeli government on the internet. It is quite literally information warfare occurring on both sides, on both fucking sides. The difference is Israel has the support of the Western governments. Not necessarily the Western people to a full extent, but the Western governments. They have total support, okay? And you can see that even with the hospital bombing that allegedly occurred, that I think people are getting a lot of flack for. This is like a flashpoint as well. Let's just see. The Israel hospital bombing. There's just a lot going on. They're just calling it the massacre of Al-Ali Hospital. In my opinion, let me just be blunt with you. Who was at fault for that situation is of almost completely negligible relevance. Because it's already fucking known that Israel is just pretty well indiscriminately targeting civilians at this point. If you are denying that, I think you are intellectually dishonest or brainwashed. Fair enough. Fair enough. You can think I'm brainwashed. I think you'd be wrong. But yes, this is a flashpoint that people are fixating on because it's like, oh, this hospital, it was actually bombed by fucking jihad, Muslim jihad, this other group, not Israel, the people who are literally bombing them. Sure. Okay. What's weird, though, and what you should take note of, is that many countries are coming out with their own internal government assessments. They're getting their ministries of defense to analyze what happened, and they're coming out in support of Israel's claim that the bombing at this hospital was caused not by Israel artillery. They're not claiming it was Muslim jihad, I don't believe. They're just saying it wasn't a direct strike from Israel. That's what these official governments are claiming. And I say claiming, but I can't confirm or deny because I'm too stupid. I don't fucking know. Sure. Okay. All right. Maybe Israel didn't directly target the hospital, even though they, literally were stating that, to evacuate hospitals. Maybe. But the bigger question is, why are these governments taking it upon themselves to vindicate Israel? What the fuck? What's up with that? That should be the question that people are fixating on, not whether or not the fucking hospital was bombed. That's not going to fucking help really anything. Sure, okay. Maybe that would just add legitimacy to the cries that yo, dude, they're fucking committing war crimes. But I think whether they did or didn't do the hospital, they are committing war crimes. You know what I mean? The hospital is a fucking distraction. It's a flashpoint for debate. The larger question is, why are these foreign governments sticking their neck out? And it is because they have a very vested interest in Israel reacting in a way that does not instigate potential, political unrest in their own countries. Because as you're already seeing, there are fucking large movements of protests in support of Palestine. And people see these things. They see people supporting Palestine in protest, and they think to themselves, what a bunch of fucking idiots. They're not doing anything. Or they think to themselves, what a bunch of fucking idiots. These people are terrorist sympathizers. That's all they are. And you could say it's true to an extent that they're not doing anything by protesting. But I think I think they're not doing nothing, is what I would say. They're not doing anything crazy, but they're not doing nothing. All right? And what you need to keep in mind is basically the fact that them making their presence known within these Western countries, right? Like there's protests in fucking my city, you know? I've seen and like, you know, been there for some of them. I wasn't like fucking a part of it or anything. I just was walking by and it fascinated me. I was like, oh shit. Because at this point in my life, I get flashes, you know, of my time in Hong Kong, literally. Like it really is like for me, like a very, you know, foundational experience. And so, yes, you see online, there's all these protesters, all these people making all this noise. Oh, fucking Hasan, fucking dickhead, fucking believing, you know, Hamas. And it's easy to get this impression that Palestine is actually, like, they actually are not the underdog or whatever, or like they're just overrepresented. But what you need to fucking understand is that in spite of these protests, in spite of all the bullshit that's whatever said online that literally is fucking vapor that I'm literally saying right now, the reality is that these fucking literal war crimes are still being committed. And Palestine actually is being savagely destroyed. Like, that's the reality that we need to face. You can agree with, you know, that. You can think like that's a good thing, actually. They deserve it. But at least be honest with yourself, like that is what we're witnessing. That is what we're seeing. And so these governments, these Western governments, they see these protests. They're not nothing protests. They're growing. They might continue to grow. And Israel, instead of backing down, they are fully committed to being as aggressive as they have historically been. Again, this isn't really new territory for them. It is new territory in the sense of like they've never been legitimized this like incredibly, you know what I mean, in recent times. And so Israel, instead of de-escalating, they're just trying to make it as hard as possible for Palestinians to report what is going on. They've cut the fucking internet. They've cut the fucking electricity. They've cut the fucking water. There's a reason that you're seeing less videos coming from Gaza lately. And it is literally because people's phones are fucking dead and they don't have access to fucking the internet or electricity. Now, in the West, again, they do not want to take a stand against Israel. Fuck that. Again, just realism. They have no incentive. Okay? There's also, of course, there's ties, whatever you want to say. But when they see these protests, this civil unrest growing, they want to de-escalate that, as any government would. Civil unrest, as a government, you always want to de-escalate that shit. And an easy way to de-escalate these things is to undermine the outrage. Now, that would be one of the prime motivators for these countries coming out and saying, oh no, the hospital bombing, that hospital being bombed and hundreds of people dying, allegedly. That's, as far as we can tell, that's not Israel. They didn't do that. Again, completely just ignore like the truth of that statement, whatever. Maybe they're right. Maybe that is what the evidence is suggesting. The reason they are coming to bat for Israel in that context is to try and de-escalate the outrage that they are seeing within their own countries, among many fucking other reasons, but that's certainly not an insignificant one. All right, you've already seen these protests occurring. Sorry, Kiki, hey, let me just read your comment. Might be a dumb question. Is the opinion that Israel be destroyed before they end Palestine? If so, who is to say that those who immigrated from Israel would not want their land back? How does it all end? Oh, dude, okay. If that is what you thought I was saying, I'm not sure if that's what you mean, but like, All I am saying is if you were taking this from a humanitarian angle, like I've seen people claiming to, but then they get caught in the weeds on weird details, the humanitarian angle is calling for a fucking ceasefire on Israel's part. Israel is literally on the ground in Gaza right now. I'm not making any grand fucking claim of like, there shouldn't be, like, Israel shouldn't exist. This is not what my fucking job is. I've, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not fucking, like, a moral authority. I feel like everything I've been saying to you guys, I'm trying to approach it from a very, like, relatively logical or realist angle, right? I'm trying to give you the realist lens. And so when I am saying what I'm saying, it's not me fucking giving universal praise to Palestine, whatever. Dude, this is real life. This shit is horrendously nuanced. But there is one situation that is simple, and it is that right now, Israel is literally fucking massacring Palestinians. And that, if you are taking it from a humanitarian angle, you should be advocating for that to stop. And not just because you want to, like, you know, faux wholesomeness or whatever you want to say. This PMC shit, man. This is where, by the way, you see like that governments expose themselves for this PMC bullshit, man. Again, with Saudi Arabia. Fucking hell, man. Openly claiming to support Palestine because they're the underdog, they're Arabic, you know. But then low-key, they're, like, behind the scenes, they're, you know, supporting Israel. That is what I'm talking about with this PMC, like, bullshit, where it's like professional managerial class bullshit. You are masking your true intent in favor of having a positive public projection. This is the same way that businesses work, okay? Keep in mind, a lot of our governments, they're actually literally heavily entrenched with the corporate world. So to analyze and to draw comparisons between how a government would respond to a crisis and how a fucking corporation would respond to a crisis, not too dissimilar. You might be surprised. You might be surprised. So yes, okay, that's all I'm fucking saying. Again, what you're saying, I think, Kiki, is correct, that I believe most Palestinians probably do not want Israel to exist at all. At all. And that is not going to change. I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if you could be living in Palestine right now and not want a fucking, like, Israel to not exist. Okay? Like, yeah, but, you know, the hopeful end is just a ceasefire, a fuck off, de-escalate. But it's not looking that way, bro. It looks like escalation is what is happening. So just be aware when we're bringing up H3, Hasan, even fucking Destiny, who I have criticisms of probably all these people if I listen to them. And maybe I will voice those fucking criticisms. But right now, as this shit's breaking, to me, I'm not that interested in what they have to say. Does that make sense? Anyway, I think the quote, "A single death is a tragedy, a million deaths are a statistic," definitely rings true. Yeah, well, yeah. Hello, university unions got in trouble for openly supporting Palestine in my area. Actually, same happened. There's a campus, the place where I encountered the protests in favor of Palestine occurred on a campus, and there's a lot of punishment for that because, believe it or not, yeah, a lot of intellectual institutions do have ties or are, you know, incentivized to not really call out Israel, you know? Israel's very smart, but there's two things to say, bro. Oh my God, I went so deep. I'm sorry, but like, okay, I'm on the rant, so let me just go. But there's two things you need to keep in mind when it comes to Israel. Okay? They are very smart, and they understand to an extent how truth works and function. And that is that the truth is decided by power a lot of the times. And Israel knows that they have more power than Palestine. And they use that to get billboards in the fuck's it called? Times Square in New York that say, what the fuck do they say? I'll find it. I know one person who is, I think, uploaded it. But like, you've seen some of the dystopian ass ads that Israel's been, you know, running with the fucking unicorns. crazy. But again, I don't even know if that's real. It's so weird. And again, there's misinformation on both sides. But again, this is why I come back to the central truth of like, bro, like sure, like both sides, sure, but like one side is not just winning. One side is dominating. You know what I mean? This is what the fuck was I doing? Oh yeah, I was gonna show you. This is the thing. Israel understands that the truth is sometimes, often, literally decided by power. This is a guy I know posted it. So yes, okay. So just to clarify, this is, I believe, the real ad. Okay, Be Human, Stand for Israel. This is a piece of art, like basically like this guy that I'm showing here. He's like an artist, and so this part is, he's basically taking this message right here, and he's putting like the more literal interpretation. Okay, like again, reading between the lines of what this message is saying. Again, this was a real ad in fucking New York City. Sorry, not this part, but this part. Be Human, Stand for Israel. Okay, through universities, through professional organizations, Israel does have leverage. Their leverage is waning. Okay, not everybody's going to lose their job. Not everybody's going to get in trouble for talking about shit, because it's becoming more and more obvious that they're actually like, oh shit, they're actually doing it. They're doing what they've wanted to do for a long time. The big thing that you need to fucking understand, though, truth is decided by power, right? They have the money to run these ads. They have the influence through governments to influence. And number two, that they understand about the truth is the fact that, like, a lot of people don't actually care. I was trying to think of a better way to put it, but a lot of people actually don't care about the truth. And this is true. It's a black pill. It's like, I wanted to word it in a better way, but it's just true. A lot of people are not actually interested in the truth, okay? And when we're talking about YouTube drama, that's like pretty low stakes. But now when we're talking about literally war, massacres, that's when I'm like, oh yeah, no, dude, like, what the fuck is the truth? What is going on? And again, it's an information war. The truth really doesn't exist. That's why it's so easily decided by power. Okay? But history, the history books will remember this, probably. It always, comes out later. Like, oh, yeah, no, they actually, yeah, that was bad. Yeah, that was bad. But in a time when you literally have the opportunity right now to try and just fucking try to have this government just fucking back down, just please, like please. I think if you're going to devote any time to this situation, it would be either to educate yourself on the history primarily, but also sure the recent events. Again, with recent events though, tons of fucking misinformation. There's, of course, misinformation with history too, but less. And yeah, just if you can like spend your time like basically just learning, and yeah, if there's any, I guess, way that you can support or try to, get your government to try and stop supporting. The thing is, of course, personal protesting is not very effective. I'm not delusional, but yeah, if you're going to claim to care, try not to get too stuck in the weeds. It's about differing religions though, isn't it? They are trying to destroy those of an opposed religion. It's a lot of things, bro. Okay, if you're going to ask questions, just be specific so that I understand where you're coming from. Does Iran support Palestine, or is it a similar case with Saudi Arabia? Iran, sincerely, I think, like, again, it's a little bit nebulous, but as far as I can tell, Iran expressly supports Palestine. And you can see that through their support of Hezbollah. Thank you, dude. Jesus. I knew that detail. I just forgot the fucking name. Hezbollah is an extension of Iran, okay? And Hezbollah is in Lebanon. In Lebanon, I mean, they've been obviously victimized by Israel. Their relationship is not very good. Like, you know, Lebanon's not a fucking, not a pure country at all. Again, the massacre that Ariel Sharon was held accountable for. It was actually kind of, you know, from what I understand, conducted especially by the, I believe, Christian Lebanese government. Okay. And so, but Hezbollah is an extension of Iran. They're funded by Iran. And Hezbollah is, you know, trying, I guess, to support, they are supporting Hamas. And the big thing to understand about Hezbollah is that they are instigating with Israel a little bit. There's flirtation occurring of Iran getting involved. But the thing is that the U.S. has already stated, Biden, whoever, stated if Iran, again, Hezbollah is an extension of Iran, if Iran gets involved, the U.S. will get involved. And this is where we enter potential World War III, you know, zone. Now, I'm not like Tim Pool. I'm not like, guys, we're going to have World War III, you know, like really like almost seemingly eager or like just very excitedly like being like, it's fucking World War. It's just, it is possible. Okay. This is like World War I was started in a not too dissimilar situation. Not the same, but not too dissimilar. With the, you know, assassination of Franz Ferdinand. The big thing, though, is that Iran, like the big thing that makes me think there probably won't be a world war. It would probably just be nothing's going to happen, right? Israel's going to do literally the crimes they're doing now. They're doing them. It's not a hypothetical. They're going to probably do them, and whatever the fuck happens, probably nothing will come of it except that the world will take it in. You know, history will understand that, and anti-Semitism will probably skyrocket because obviously, you know, a lot of people, obviously, they see, you know, this being done by Israel, and they're like, that confirms my biases, that it's just an inherent thing with the religion. But the reason that I don't think it'll probably just be that case where just nothing really happens and Palestine just gets raped, is that I don't think that China is interested in defending Palestine. I don't think Russia could be interested in defending Palestine, but only insofar as it'll gain itself greater influence, okay? Again, Palestine as an entity is, again, from a geopolitical angle, a realist angle, from how these governments are viewing this, valueless, okay? Russia has fucked their ties with the U.S. and a bunch of Western nations, so they could have an incentive to tacitly support Palestine or get involved in a larger war, but only really insofar as it'll entrench their ties with countries outside of the West, like maybe China, maybe, you know, the Middle East. China, though, I don't think that Russia has the balls, because Russia is a crumbling empire. Russia is a lot weaker than they'd like to think. Okay? If Russia were as strong as they would, as, you know, Putin, whoever projects, Ukraine would be theirs completely right now. China, I think, is very uninterested in intervening in these global conflicts. They are much more interested in securing their, homeland or whatever. So yes, they are looking at Taiwan, of course, obviously Hong Kong, which is a part of China, but it's, under a different rule. But, now ruled by China now. Basically, China's a lot more isolationist, okay? They don't want to overreach. They'd rather just continue as shit's going, but like slowly deepen their influence within their own zone. The imperialism or the colonialism that China's engaging in is mainly commerce-based in Africa. Okay, they're investing heavily in African infrastructure. I don't think China wants to go to war. And so will Russia start a fucking war with the US? No. Is my opinion. I'm not a fucking genie, but I don't think so. And so that's why I'm a little like, just talking about this subject, I'm just like, fuck me. Because people are right. There's no real way to de-escalate this situation permanently. Palestinians fucking hate Israelis, and Israelis fucking hate Palestinians. Israel's obviously much more capable and is more overt about expressing that sentiment. That's why I say, if you really want to take this from a humanitarian angle, all that you can really do that would technically be of use would be to try and dissuade the Israeli government from literally committing crimes. Committing international crimes. I would be fascinated to see how they would be held accountable by the World Tribune. Because I'm sure after this occurs and after literally thousands and thousands of people are killed, I'm sure there will be some level of accountability by the UN or whoever the fuck. After the fact. That's an important fucking detail. I would be curious to see what that would entail, what they would do, Yeah, just some details, just to go over what I was talking about right there. Canada, Ali Hospital. Statement from the Department of National Defense and the Canadian Armed Forces on the recent strike at Al Ali Hospital in Gaza. I'm not going to claim that the Canadian government never does this, but there is a reason they are doing it. And I have outlined that reason, I think, pretty well. Of course, there's always a lot of reasons, but I think what I said was pretty fucking true. Anyway, their analysis conducted independently by the Canadian Armed Forces Intelligence Command indicates with a high degree of confidence that Israel did not strike the Al Ali Hospital on September 17th, October 17th. Based on analysis of open source and classified reporting, Department of National Defense and the Armed Forces assessed that the strike was more likely caused by an errant rocket fired from Gaza. Obviously, they're not saying with 100% certainty, but they're claiming more than likely it wasn't Israel. Again, whether you think that's cap or whether you think they're telling the truth, to me is less interesting than the fact that they felt the need to make that statement. That's how you know shit's serious. World governments are coming in to absolve Israel. This is the PMC shit, where it's like, of course, we're not okay with the Israeli government, but like, we're okay with like the Israeli government. You know what I mean? Trudeau is the final boss of PMC, professional managerial class, where you have the socially acceptable or the fucking, least abrasive public image, but then like low key, like, all right, we're still we're still gonna do all this like shit, like, you know what I mean? We're not gonna actually like really like hold like anyone accountable. Like, we don't even really have the power for that, but we're not gonna fucking like outwardly condemn this shit. Anyway, I don't think there will be any accountability. Was the U.S. ever held accountable for anything ever? Well, look, here's what you need to understand, right? This is where you kind of, I didn't want to talk about this shit because I knew it would blackpill me, because I'm trying to not blackpill people in life, you know? But I do think that the reality, this is something that I have to do a lot in my life, not just in the information and the things that I cover for you guys. In my real life, I'm forced to fucking face the mirror a lot, okay? Like, I really, and I now, like, because I've done it so many times in my life, I understand the importance of it, to face reality, to fucking face the mirror, and to try and have an honest assessment of what the fuck's going on. The best of your ability. No one's perfect, but when it comes to geopolitics, it literally is just a fact. Like, the most powerful nations will do what they want, and everyone else will react to that as best they can, but they will not stop them. They will not stop them. And if they try to stop them, they will get fucked. The UN is literally designed, it's not democratic. It's not democratic. I mean, yeah, you can say your piece, whatever, but it's not like a real democracy. There's 5 countries with veto power permanently, forever. What is it? China, the US, France, Britain, and fucking Russia? I think that's right. Let's check. Let's fucking history check. Gokanaru. China, France, Russia, United Kingdom, US. Nailed it. They have permanent veto power. And that means that any notion that is brought forth to do anything in relation to the Israel situation can be struck down by the US. And guess what? It is. It literally is. So, again, people watch the news. Fucking news. There's no such thing as unbiased news, by the way. Just be aware. People watch the news. The big thing, and look, this is something you realize, again, when you really start to understand, like, the nature of truth. There's ways to be completely honest on paper, but to actually misrepresent a situation. So you can state a bunch of things that actually happened, but simply just not state other things that are happening. You know what I mean? This is the news. This is the news. They literally choose like what you are pointing your eyeballs at. So yes, the hospital situation gets a fuck ton of eyeballs because it is a flashpoint. It's something people are talking about, something people are fixating about. And while people are fixating on that, the literal war crimes are still being committed. Literally. Like what is the hospital, like, having been bombed? Like, what does that really change? Not much in my mind. Governments are still literally, you know, backing up Israel. Again, they're not happy with Israel. They don't like this heat. But they know, like, all right, fuck. This is our ally. We can't, you know, obstruct them. We might not outwardly, super overtly support them, but we can't obstruct them. All right, Al Ali hospital bombing, U.S. government. UN press. Third committee condemns brutal bombing. Okay, yeah. Did the U.S. government condemn them? Let's see. This is the UN, sorry. This is this PMC shit, by the way. Like, of course, the UN is going to say, dude, what the fuck are you doing? This is bad. The real question is the UN going to do anything? The answer is probably not until it's over. But we'll see. I'm hopeful they will. Like, it'd be great. It'd be great. Yeah, this is basically all lip service. I mean, it's fair enough. Like, you know, it's a good thing that the UN is openly saying this, because it's literally undeniably fucking true. Holy fuck. Oh, sorry, this is Statements from people. Right. Okay. Understood. This is statements from people. Japan firmly condemns them. Interesting. I didn't even know how the UN exactly worked. I didn't know exactly how it worked, but like they have like so many statements from like, you know, specific countries, specific individuals. It's interesting. I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that the US government did an independent analysis. And by the way, keep in mind, bigger black pill, Google is not impartial. I'm not saying, again, that they are like picking a side in such an overt sense, like completely overt sense. They're picking a side tacitly by, you know, demonetizing things covering the war crimes, you know? By allowing trusted sources, which just means state-funded or corporate-funded sources, again, realists, largely, not always, but largely, to have, you know, control pretty much over the narrative. Again, on Twitter, you see the opposite. It is like individuals. It's like very, guys, like popular fucking support all this stuff. But Twitter is a very shallow reflection of the reality. Again, a big part of how information is controlled is not by fucking, it's not by lying overtly. It's by excluding inconvenient information, right? So if you want to paint a specific picture of an event that occurs, well, you can simply just like leave out like half of the picture, and then the picture might look completely different, you know? But technically, you're just reporting. You know what I mean? I mean, we saw that with Nick is Not Green a little bit. Again, like with this, bringing this into YouTube drama, I'm like, this is just serious. Like for me, it's like I really do have two modes of being, at least right now, while it's fucking like as serious as it is and as breaking. But anyway, I wanted to show you. Oh, sorry, the U.S. statement. Yeah, okay. Israel, the U.S. government, and independent security experts say Wednesday the preliminary evidence of a deadly explosion at Gaza compound pointed to a local militant group casting doubt on Palestinian claims that an Israeli airstrike was responsible. Yeah, that's the U.S. government. France, I think, did the same shit. Like, it's... Again, I've made my piece clear. You get what I'm saying at this point. I'll show you now one last thing, just so you can understand that the big detail. Holy fuck! To bring it back like 10 years, Jesus Christ. A big thing that I wanted to mention about Israel is that they, within their own government, with their own country, like they have fostered and managed to create an atmosphere where even the public populace of Israel is extremely outraged at the Israeli government for allowing the initial attack from Hamas to occur, which was absolutely a fucking, what would you call the terrorist attack? Yeah. Like massacre, right? From everything I'm aware. The thing that they're saying, like, the people of Israel have been fostered to almost be more extreme than the existing government. So the existing government is actually like very disrespected among a lot of the people. And a lot of the people expect the government to act and to commit these war crimes, like to do it. You know what I mean? And so this has created an atmosphere within the Israeli government with Hezbollah, as I was mentioning, their Ministry of Truth. That's what it is. Ministry of Truth, similar to China. Where they don't need to be very careful about information being false or doctored. There's much evidence, much evidence of Israel or Hezbollah groups, whatever, manipulating information. Okay? They are not careful. Because, again, they haven't had to be really that careful. Because nobody was really talking about this shit for tons of time, you know what I mean? Nobody really discusses it up until now because it's unavoidable. And you see that in like how flagrant and how overt and open and very, I would just say, clear their intent is. It is just clear that they want to just kill Palestinians. Like they just want them to never forget, or to be virtually exterminated. We'll see how it escalates. And so that like lack of care, that lack of carefulness, you know, allows a lot of the real true legitimacy of what they're doing to be exposed, and allows people, it does incite people to protest, which I would not blame someone for protesting, especially if you have people living in Palestine, all this shit, whatever. Again, sure, you can protest in support of Israel, but what you need to understand is right now, this is literally not self-defense. This is beyond. It is beyond. Anyway. I'm calling it a botched operation where horrible war crimes were committed. I don't like the term terrorism. Okay. Govs only use it to muddy the waters regarding laws regulating POW treatment. Yeah, but that's what you need to understand. Like, Israel is also committing terrorist acts. The thing that makes Hamas terrorist is because they are not the legitimate government, is the claim, right? Because it's like, in my mind, I mean, like, bro, if you want to talk about terrorism, bro, terrorism in the U.S., holy fuck. But from my mind, terrorism is like framed as like, you know, insurgent groups or like individuals, you know what I mean? It's like extrajudicial shit. Governments, like Israel's government, are capable of committing terrorism. It's just not framed like that. Because, you know, people in their heads, they do think, like when they hear terrorists, they think like fucking Muslims because of 9/11, which, you know, is just a reality. It's a reality in the information war that framing is very important. But yeah. Does Iran support Palestine? Oh, sorry. Old comment. 0 to 10 governments. Horrible. Okay. Yeah. Okay, but can they beat Gokanaru? Hi. Okay. Yeah. In 1984. Yeah. Yeah. Gokanaru, do you ever go on vacation? Off topic question. I know. No, not right now. Not right now. I do. Yes. Sorry. I do, but not now. Like right now I need to work. I'm literally, this is the time, bro. We're about to, like, beyond this shit, the Gokanaru channel is about to fucking take off. Okay. We have new merch coming at gokamerch.com. This is one of my shirts, Puppet Master. And so, yes, we have like a lot of shit we're, you know, coordinating. It's for me, you know, I'm lucky I have a lot going for me right now. Anyway, the last thing, I keep being a like fucking schizoid because it's so late and I've talked about this so much longer than I wanted to because I'm a fucking idiot. I just wanted to show you the U.S. their stance, just to really help you understand, like, while all this noise is happening, while all the debate and fucking whatever is going on about whatever incident, the reality, the real big decisions that are being made are not clear in any attempt in trying to actually de-escalate. Israel-Gaza war, U.S. vetoes humanitarian pauses resolution. The U.S. has vetoed a UN Security Council resolution that would have condemned Hamas's attacks on Israel while calling for a pause in the fighting to deliver life-saving aid to millions in Gaza. So basically, de-escalation is what this is hoping for. In favor of this were 12 countries: Albania, Brazil, China, Ecuador, France, Gabon, Ghana, Japan, Malta, Mozambique, Switzerland, and the United Arab Emirates. Against the U.S. Abstained Russia and the UK. This is where I say I don't actually think Russia wants to get involved. I think they're already overextended just fighting Ukraine. And so that's why I think that this situation is just gonna happen. That's why I'm saying, like, history maybe will, look on it and be like, what a fucked up event, but, now is the time to be saying that. Anyway, UN Security Council is made up of 15 countries, including 10 in rotation, each with 1 vote. So they, again, there's the 5, just basic info for you guys to understand how this shit works. There's 5 staple, forever, lifetime veto power having countries, which are the US, UK, Russia, China, and fucking France. Again, that's why those countries have dots beside them here to differentiate. Permanent member, right? Fascinating shit, bro. Like, when you really think about it, this kind of a black pill, but, face the fucking mirror. This is the reality of the situation. And so, yes, these other countries are, rotating members. Canada is not a permanent member. Oh, fuck, man. Decisions are generally legally binding for all 193. Obviously, the U.S. disrespects the UN all the time. They don't really give a fuck that much, like in reality. Again, reality. Yes, so the U.S. vetoed it against, 10 others, basically. 12 others saying, yes, ceasefire. Okay. So, yeah. That's why people are protesting, for the record. So when you see people protesting, just understand, yes, not everyone protesting, of course, even knows what's going on. Maybe some people just want like a reason to be alive. A lot of them do understand exactly what I'm saying, which is like, no, like, this is happening. Like, this is real. U.S. envoy to UN says Arab states are empowering Hamas with Gaza ceasefire motion. So that's pretty much the U.S. saying, no, Israel's going to exterminate Hamas. And again, Hamas is, this is again, face the reality, this is true. Hamas is deeply entrenched in and among the Palestinian people. They're pretty much the acting government and more or less the legitimate government. They were elected. But by framing them as a terrorist group, they're not a legitimate government. Because the shell government, the PLO, is the one internationally recognized, which again, the PLO tried to, have peaceful talks in the past, which disintegrated, leading to the formation of Hamas, which Israel did have a part in Hamas's rise because Israel was providing, at least Israeli officials were providing aid to these Muslim sects in order to grow a counter movement toward the PLO, who were much more peaceful and secular, not religious. Again, this is why I emphasize the history. Trust. Learning history is better than watching the news. This is almost always the case. You can watch the news, just be aware that it's not like, it's largely enjoyment. Okay, it's not all useful information. Now, anyway, for understanding things, I should say. Now, the U.S. envoy accused the Arab states of empowering Hamas and turning a blind eye to the evil by tabling a draft resolution at the General Assembly calling for restraint from Israel, but failing to name Hamas as the perpetrators of the massacre of 7th of October. Right, okay. Understood. So the U.S. is basically saying, like, you need to acknowledge in this resolution, like it needs to be stated in this resolution that Hamas were the perpetrators of these massacres. It is universally known that Hamas did this. It's not up for dispute. The U.S., if I had to guess, this is just like, again, this PMC bullshit where they just needed to come to the table with like a legitimate reason for condemning this shit, more or less. And that was a decent reason. When we're talking geopolitics, like the reasoning that is publicly stated, largely cap. Especially when people are speaking, like when you have like an individual speaking on behalf of a whole nation. Of course, like they're going to be as like, publicly facing, like, not offensive as possible or whatever, you know what I mean? Anyway, okay, bosses. Geography is everything, history is king. Yeah, geography and even history to an extent, but geography for sure. I had a heavy blind spot growing up. I was bad at geography. I shouldn't say that. I actually knew probably more than most people, but like it just wasn't a strong point for me. The Middle Eastern history of the past 75 years is crazy. That's facts. Facts, bro. Anyway, holy shit. I got pulled so deep into that. Holy shit, chat. I gotta just never do this again, dude. Because, like, I really don't like talking about this shit. It's not even just that. It's like YouTube literally demonetizes you for talking about it. It is such a fucking rabbit hole. It is an emerging incident, so I feel like, you know, all the information's nebulous. It's very difficult to deal with. And even just speaking on it as if my fucking opinion matters at all makes me feel like a dumbass. But that's my job, so I might as well fucking own it. Not being a fucking pussy. You can go to gokamerch.com and pick up the Memento Mori shirt. I think it looks pretty good. I'm wearing a large. We've got a bunch of fun stuff there, and the prices are, in my opinion, the most reasonable you'll find on YouTube.